Alright, and today I'm gonna talk about a story. I'm gonna tell a story which is also related to the professional ethics, which is sharpening the axe. Okay, so the start of the story is that there's an old story about two lumberjacks who decided to have a contest to see who would chop the most wood. One was a young, relentless lumberjack, and the other was an old lumberjack who was on his last years of chopping woods. The rules of the contest were simple. Whoever chopped the most wood during their shift would win. They are on the opposite side of a little ridge. They could hear each other but couldn't see their progress. Throughout the day, the young lumberjack kept chopping relentlessly, where he also could hear that the old lumberjack had stopped every 15 minutes. The young lumberjack thinks that the old lumberjack was too tired following his old age. The young lumberjack is so confident in his win. At the end of the day, both men climbed to the ridge to assess who's the winner. Much to the surprise, the older lumberjack had many piles that dwarfed his own. The young lumberjack were left in awe. "How could you have won? I saw all the breaks you were taking," said the young lumberjack. The experienced lumberjack chuckled. "You thought those were breaks? I was sharpening my axe." That was what the old lumberjack said. The point of the story is that hard work will only get you so far. You've got to make sure that you are working as efficiently as possible and that you don't waste any effort. We become so consumed by the day-to-day working in the business that we stop working in the business sometimes altogether. Because when you're flat out and need all hands on the deck, it's hard to slow down and carve out the time to implement good systems of work. Work on performance management, coach, implement improvements, or perhaps hardest of all, work on a personal development. Taking time to work on these things can feel like an indulgence. But in the reality is, if we don't periodically sharpen our axe, we'll work increasingly hard just to achieve the same outcome. And eventually, we'll be banging in the tree with a completely blunt instrument, which wears us out without achieving much at all. So, it takes strength and discipline to carve out regular time to reflect and work on these axe sharpening activities. It feels uncomfortable, and we often experience peer pressure not to, but it's essential for both long-term performance and our sense of well-being and balance. Sharpening the axe has come to mean taking action to make yourself better at your job, both long-term and for the task at hand. Take a moment and think about how to go about the task in a smarter way. Gather up the right information, get help if you need it, and recharge it with a quick meal if you are hungry. Take a nap to get ready for that all-nighter, take a break. Just don't be the young lumberjack, diving into a project with inefficient tools. Work smarter and not harder.
Okay, I will continue about some industry perspective, how technology is reshaping industries. As mentioned earlier, technology impacts industries not only in direct ways, but also indirectly through its influence on other sectors. This highlights an important point. No industry operates in isolation. Every technological shift can create a chain reaction that affects multiple industries at once. A strong example of this can be seen in the telecommunication industry. In the past, telecom companies mainly focus on providing basic communication service, such as calls and messaging. However, as technology continues to evolve, their role has expanded significantly. Today, they are not just service providers but also information providers, entertainment platforms, and digital service companies. They aim to create added value by offering services like streaming, digital content, and integrated platforms. Another important aspect to consider is how technology spreads. In some cases, technological diffusion happens slowly. When this occurs, markets tend to remain more local rather than fully global. Companies need to adapt to local regulation, cultural difference, and specific customer needs. Even when telecom companies expand Internationally, they often still rely on localized strategies. In these situations, only large global corporations are able to full take advantage of international opportunities. At the same time, companies are trying to move up the value chain. This means they are not satisfied with just delivering basic service, but are also looking for ways to innovate and provide more meaningful experience of their users. However, this transition is not always smooth. Many traditional companies face difficulties in changing their business models, especially if they have been operating in the same way for a long time. In addition, the rise of digitalization has created more transparent markets. Today, customers can easily access information, compare price, and evaluate service from different companies around the world. While this benefits consumers, it creates intense competition for businesses. As a result, profit margins tend to decrease, and companies must work hard to differentiate themselves. This idea is a major challenge for traditional organizations. They must decide whether to continue focusing on their core service or to transform and innovate. Staying with the core business might seem like the safer option, especially in the short term. However, in a fast-changing and competitive environment, this approach can make companies less relevant over time. On the other hand, companies that are willing to adapt, experiment, and innovate are more likely to survive and grow. They can respond better to market change and create new opportunities themselves. So, in conclusion, technology and globalization are continuously reshaping industries. Companies are required to be more flexible, innovative, and responsive to change. The telecommunication industry clearly shows that transformation is no longer optional, but necessary for survival. And for us as individuals, understanding this and industry change is also very important. It helps us prepare for the future, develop relevant skills, and stay competitive in an ever evolving job market.
So I'm going to talk about the need for self-development in professional life, especially in the context of professional ethics. To make it easier to follow, I'll break it into four parts. The first part is the definition of self-development, and the second part is why self-development is needed in professional life, and the third part is its core dimension, and the last part is its connection to lifelong learning. The definition of self-development is self-development is the ongoing intentional effort to improve our knowledge, skills, and character so we can meet evolving professional standards and responsibilities. Because industries change so quickly, ethical practice is not only about following a code of conduct but also about continuously upgrading ourselves to make sound decisions in complex situations. For that reason, self-development is not a luxury. It is a professional duty that supports competence, accountability, and integrity, and it makes employee more reliable, adaptable, and trustworthy. And why self-development is needed in professional life? Self-development is needed because it helps us keep up with rapid change in tools, technology, and ways of working, so our skills stay relevant and we remain competitive. By honestly identifying our own skill gaps and closing them through courses, projects, mentoring, or self-study, we build a more adaptable and valuable skill set. It also brings clear career benefit such as better job opportunities, faster promotion, and higher earning potential, and shows employers that we are disciplined, committed, and ready for greater responsibility. At the same time, learning new competencies increase our confidence and resilience, helping us handle stress, solve problems, and face new challenges, while organization gain stronger talent, better decision, and more innovation when their people keep developing themselves. Okay, so for core dimension of self-development, there are four main dimensions of self-development. First is self-awareness. Self-awareness is understanding our values, beliefs, strength, and limitation, so we can act in line with our principles and see where we need to improve. And the second point is skill and knowledge growth, developing both technical skills like programming or data analysis and soft skills such as communication, teamwork, and leadership, so we can work more effectively and professionally with others. And third point is attitude and mindset. Having a growth mindset, being open to feedback, staying curious, and being persistent, which help us learn from mistakes instead of hiding them, and supports transparency and ethical accountability. And the fourth point is values and integrity is clarifying our values and aligning our daily action with them so that our inner principles and outward behavior match, forming real integrity in professional practice. For the last point is self-development as lifelong learning. Self-development is closely linked to lifelong learning, which is the continuous pursuit of knowledge and skills through both formal education like degrees and certifications and informal experience such as reading, online resources, mentoring, and on-the-job learning. In modern professional environment, this lifelong learning mindset is expected because it shows humility. We know there is always more to learn, and responsibility. We understand that our level of competence affects other people and our organization. That is why self-development and lifelong learning are directly connected to professional ethics. And to conclude, self-development is not just about personal ambition, it's a professional and ethical obligation that help us stay competent, trustworthy, and ready for future challenge. By continuously developing our knowledge, skills, attitude, and values, we can become better professionals and contribute more positively to our organization and to society.
For the next topic, we will talk about career development and why it is important for your professional growth. Career development is the process of understanding where you are right now and deciding where you want to go in the future. It is not just about getting a job, but about continuously improving your skills, knowledge, and experience over time. This process should ideally start early, even during college, so every decision you make can support your long term goals. Career development is important because it gives you direction. Without a clear plan, it is easy to feel lost or unsure about your next steps. In today's fast changing job market, continuously improving yourself also help you stay competitive. Another key part of career development is networking. Building a connection can open up new opportunities, give you valuable insight, and help you grow professionally. There are several steps you can follow to develop your career. First, you need to understand yourself by identifying your interests, strengths, and values. Second, explore a different option by learning about industries and gaining experience through the internships or part-time work. Third, identify any gaps in your skills or experience. After that, set a clear goals and create a plan. Finally, regularly evaluate your progress and make adjustments when needed. In addition to these steps, there are also important strategies to keep in mind. Setting clear goals help you stay focused. Lifelong learning ensures you continue to grow and stay relevant. And networking help you build relationships that can support your career. A career usually goes through several steps. The first stage is the exploration, where you try different options and discover your interests. The second stage is establishment, when you begin working and build your passion in a specific field. The third state is maintenance, where you focus on improving and sustaining your achievements. The final state is disengagement, where you gradually reduce your involvement in a work. Setting effective career goals is also essential. Good goals should be specific, measurable, and have a clear timeline. Usually, you start with a long term goals and break it down into smaller, more manageable steps. It is also important to understand the gap between your current abilities and what you need to achieve your goals. In the end, career development is your personal responsibility. You need to take initiative, keep learning, evaluate yourself regularly, and stay consistent. That consistency is what helps you grow and success in the long run.
What is gap analysis? Gap analysis is a method to compare current performance versus desired performance. The difference. Okay. Number two, why does it matter? Without it, improvement efforts can be unfocused and ineffective. Benefits. Point one, process that need fixing. Point two, set realistic, achievable goals. Point three, build effective strategies. And number three, how to do it. Point one, identify the current state. Point two, define the desired state. Point three, analyze the gap. Point four, build an action plan. Point five, evaluate and adjust along the way. Okay, number four, real life example. A student wants to improve speaking from basic to advanced. Gap is clear to action. Daily practice, during speaking classes, build vocabulary. Same applies in organization, measure employee performance versus company expectation, then provide training. Okay. Number five is gap analysis, is a powerful tool for structure focused growth for both individual and organization. Okay, so maybe that's all from us.